Okay, so maybe what we'll do is go from Lamed Hey. And let's see. Well,
Ron's just giving the victory sign over there.
Okay. How about from bottom quarter of the page? The line starts with Laham Shafa.
Okay.
So, just to see what we're talking about here, we're saying that, I think we were talking about the Maila of Torah. Let me see here. Okay. We said that the Torah has a medida, a measurement, but the measurement is not a measurement that's a limitation. In other words, that if the Torah were measuring the mitzvahs according to the capabilities of the Makablim, that would be a limitation, because the Torah, so to speak, has to fit into the parameters of the Makablim, and they could only let's say give what the Makablim can take. But he's saying, the Maimar is saying that Rebbe is saying that the medida of Torah is from the, what does he say? I'm doing this outside here, but it's the way that the Atzmus is moided the Inyan, and it's not a limitation on the side of the Makablim, but it's a limitation, the form, the Tzalmenu, that's coming from the Atzmus. I'm trying to remember. Then we talked about Shuvah, that Shuvah is higher than all the mitzvahs because it could actually wipe away sin in breaking the mitzvahs. And we said L'cha'ira Shuvah has no measurement because it has this ability. And then the Rebbe said that Tshuva also has a measurement because it has to be in the form of Tshuva. In other words, the Slicha doesn't come gratis. It comes when the person does Tshuva. And then we came to the conclusion that even though there's this level of that where darkness and light are equal, where there was a point in which we said that Hashem didn't know, that we didn't know whether He's choosing the Maisa of Rashoyim and Maisa of Tzadikim, and that there's an unlimited resource whereby everyone can draw from, and therefore even Rashoyim anyone can get Slicha. But we say that nevertheless, this is only the Chitzonius. The Panemius, which is the higher level, has this medida, that it has to be, that Hashem is giving only where it's going to be accepted into a makam roy, which that is a medida, and that's actually higher level than the complete infinity He provides for everything that everything can take. Here, with to be in a makam roy, which comes, that is only where that's where the panemius can come. Only, and we say that it comes not through an arousal from below, but it comes that Hashem gives it mitzad atzmai from the Maila, but it has to be in a makom roy. In other words, Rabbi Paltiel gave an example of like someone who wants to give a gift. So the giver of the gift is not giving the gift because the receiver needs it. Like if a person, he sees that a person is lacking, he's hungry or whatever, so he gives him food. That's not a gift. A gift means he wants to give of himself. The giver wants to give of himself, but he's only going to give it to a person who's going to appreciate this gift. He's not going to give it to someone who's not going to appreciate it. So when the makabel appreciates, has the ability to appreciate the giver, then the giver is going to give fully of himself to the makabel. So this is, I think, so that was the introduction. So this line over here, so it says v'zeh beis oifanim. So this isurusu deli eila mitzad atzmai, which is bebechinas matana, in the line above, and it's only ka'asher hu roi lamshacha. It's only when it's fitting for lamshacha, and then oz nimshach memela. Then it comes automatically. So this comes bebeis oifanim. This comes in two ways. Im ayidei shleimus havoida, whether it's through shleimus havoida, complete avoida. Sha'al yidei ze nimshach memela b'mechinas v'panimius. That through this nimshach memela, it comes down memela automatically from the bechinas panemius. Ukumoi gabe Shabbos, like Shabbos. Sha'amar azal matana teva yesh li b'bayis genizi. Like the sages say that a good gift I have in my treasure house, my secret house, my Beis Kenizi. V'hainu bechinas haShabbos kamoishu bechinas tainug ha'atzmi shalamayla misarusa delasata. So this is referring to this matana tova, is referring to the aspect of Shabbos, the way it is in the tainug ha'atzmi, which is higher than sirusa de'ela, which is something that can be drawn down from as a corresponding, as a response from an arousal from below. See if he's going to get into it. Okay, yeah, I mean basically, right, Paltiel was talking about the different levels of Shabbos. Remember this? Yeah, so I think the Rebbe is going to continue, and we could bring it out.
And there's also about Shleimus Avoda.
Shleimus Avoda, yeah.
That was kind of clarified as being, I guess, for Hashem alone, as opposed to for any other purpose or any other atmosphere.
Right. So Rabbi Paltiel said that you could Shleimus Avoda, you could look at it from two perspectives. The first perspective is that a person is trying to make himself shleimus. He's trying to perfect his avodah, become like a perfect receptacle, so to speak. So this is not what my mimer means by shleimus avodah. Shleimus avodah means it's shleimus in the sense that a person's kavana is that the Eibishter should be that whatever place should be fitting, that it should be able to receive the Eibishter, that it should be that Hashem should be present there. This is shleimus havodah. His whole drive is to reveal the Eibishter. So we're giving Shabbos as an example of this level that's a surusa deli eila mitzad atzmai. In other words, and the Rebbe is going to bring down that there's various levels in Shabbos. Some of these levels and on Shabbos, which we're going to talk about, which comes at Mincha time, which is a complete, which is like a complete gift from above. It's not in comparison. It's not something that a person has to. Where a person, it's not that the person is not involved at all in bringing this down or appreciating it. It's coming straight.
I think it might even be that it's above his appreciation. It's an experience, or it's a reality beyond experience.
Very good. So the Mashakasu, so it says over here, the Mashakasu of Karasa the Shabbos Eineg. Like it says, Karasa, you call the Shabbos Eineg, Hu Bechinas Chitzonius HaTainug. Shenimshach Ayidei Surusa de Lasata. So this is Chitzonius HaTainug. This aspect of Shabbos that you call Shabbos Eineg, that is Chitzonius HaTainug, which comes through a Surusa de Lasata. And he talked a little bit about, in other words, when Friday night comes, a person senses he appreciates Shabbos because it's in contrast to his work week. In other words, he worked all week and now the work is over, so now he appreciates Shabbos. So he's appreciating a level that's still related to his own experience. And then in the morning, he appreciates the essence of Shabbos, but what did he say about this in the morning? The day of Shabbos.
So what the previous night was sort of in contrast to the week.
Right.
Sort of relief element. So how about the next morning? Why is that not the Shabbos itself already?
It is, but it's not.
It is, but it's not.
It is, but there was something.
He's enjoying the gifts of Shabbos. It's his own personal experience with the gifts of Shabbos.
Okay. But then comes Mincha time. Al v'chinas tainug ha'atzmi kasiv az tisaneg alavaya. Then it says tisaneg alavaya. Then you will have pleasure. You have einig in Hashem. The einoi shayach bezeh kriya v'hamshacha. It's not shayach kriya v'hamshacha ki im shenimshach me'atzmai. Comes down, drawn down from itself. Al yedei shleimus bebechinas shabsa de maile shabsa v'shabsa de yoyma. This comes down after having gone through the levels of the night time, which is the Shabta de Maili Shabta de Maili Shabta, that's the Friday night. The Shabta de Yoima, that's the day. After having gone through these in a shlemistic way, then the Oz Meir b'Mincha, then there shines in Mincha time, Mincha de Shabbos, b'Mechinas Raiven de Kol Raiven. Bechinas makor hatanugim. Then there shines the makor of the tanugim. Remember what you spoke about here?
This is Mincha already?
This is Mincha already, which is shining the makor of the tanugim.
I remember it said kind of whether you experience it or not. This is the reality of this time. This is the reality that's present at this time. I think it was also said that it's kind of above experience, above because we're getting into shtika now. So I guess this is saying it's not something that is grasped with your kalim, does not have qualities, nothing in the way of qualities that we would describe. In contrast to that morning, what Kippur was saying, he enjoys it, he enjoys it with his faculties. That's how you What you said
Yeah,
about
yeah, this is all about him and not about you. This Ravid, the whole Ravid.
Right. This is the Tisanig Alavaya. The Oynig is not his own Oynig, so to speak. It's the Oynig
It's on his account.
on Navaya. Remember what he said about Riven, the call Riven? It's a Riva is a wanting, right? A desire.
Mm-hmm.
Makar Atanugin.
The co-driving is somewhere it's the writer of this level of co-driving of code.
Right. Right. Did he bring down the Yeshli Rav and Yeshli Kol over here?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. At one time that we went over it, he did. Yes.
Right. So we talked about the idea of the two expressions in the Chumash of the Yeshli Rav and Yeshli Kol. That Esav used the expression that I have a lot, and Yaakov used the expression that I have everything. And Rashi explains that Yeshli Rav is an expression of Gaiva, and Yeshli Kol is an expression of humility. And it would seem to be the opposite. I have everything. Wow, that's even more than a lot. But the idea is that a lot can be something that can be accumulated, it can be measured, it's something that's related to your experience, your things that. Whereas kol, you can never accumulate this. No matter how much you have, you never have kol. Kol, you only have when you're relating to the makor of everything. When you're relating to the kol,
Kol, you have infinity.
Kol, you have the infinity. So basically, Yaakov was saying that no matter what I have kol. You can't diminish from me any. Take away these tangible things, it doesn't diminish anything, because what I'm relating to is the everything. I'm relating to where it all comes from, the makor. Whereas Esav was relating to the things that are the defined things. So this level is this Tisanag Alavaya. This is relating to the kol, the source of everything, which is not related to your own personal koichos, your personal experience. Something that comes from above, mitzad atzmai. Gam yesh loymar al derech ma shekasuv gabe kriyas yamsuf. Also, there's to say like what it says about kriyas yamsuf va'atem tacharishon v'lois asurun midi. It says over there that you should be silent. In other words, the Yidden was standing at the kriyas yamsuf, at the yamsuf, and the Yamsuf was on one side of them, and the Mitzrim were coming at them from the other side, and there were different opinions of what the Yidden should do, whether they should fight, jump into the sea, and so forth. And what was the answer? Atem tacharishan. You should be quiet. Which means lois asur, and it's taiched lois asur and midi. You shouldn't have any kind of arousal at all. You shouldn't have a hisoidus. There's no arousal. Why? Why should you not have an arousal? Mishum deba'atika talya. Because everything depends on atik. Everything depends on above. It's all going to be taken care of, and it's not going to be due to your arousal. You're not going to cause this at all. It's something that's coming purely from the Maila. V'yadua dezehu habitul deshtika. This is in Avodah. This is the bittul of shtika, of silence. Shezehu bittul hayoser elyon. This is the bittul that's very great. V'bechinas hanachas kol atzmusa legamrei, where he's putting his whole essence aside completely, mikol v'chol, in every way. So what did he say there?
Around this last piece, putting oneself aside legamri, mikol, v'kol. Here I think it was specified that you may think this putting aside is kind of sort of nullifying, and then it goes, and then it's like below the person. The person's kind of
A low level.
right, like it's going to come up later that there's this kind of bittul that you may conceive of bittul as lowly, the person's not functioning. So too over here, you may think, but it's a kind of rising up where it's a union with what's happening. It seems like it was described that the people, while they were waiting there and looking, and they were told not to make any move, it was kind of explained, was it watch and see? Was it...
So you could think that it means to shut off your intelligence.
Right.
In fact, you're using your seichel to its utmost, to the point
Good.
that you're aware that that this has to be, your seichel has a limitation. You've taken your seichel to its utmost, and now you've come to a place that's beyond your seichel.
Right, so this is a bittul ha'elyon. This is not a low level at all. This is the highest faculty of chokhmah, which he's going to get into now. In other words, a person, I don't know, did he say that a person senses, or he like he said last night, this silence is when a person is listening.
Right.
What he is listening for the pure truth, the pure truth, the way the truth is. This is like the chacham that chooses the king. He's not going to get anything from it, but yet that's what he wants. He wants to know on the king on his own terms. Well, I don't know if that's correct.
He said it's not silence of I don't know what to say, but rather it's a silence. The silence is an approach, like you just said, listening, and this is I don't want to disturb this with my own thoughts.
Beautiful.
And this is called shleimus
Shtika. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a Yoser Aliyah, and this is supreme avodah. What did he say about how did he see? There was a whole conversation about how does one put their whole self aside.
Right.
Legamre, like what is, in other words.
Later on, last night, it came up that Chokhmah is not interested. It was said, and Avram answered. It was said, "What's the common perception in the world?" And the basis of reality is kind of how I see things. It's my awareness of myself.
Right.
Comes Chokhmah, and it doesn't have that orientation at all. It puts that aside. It wants to know how things are. It really wants to know the reality of things.
Right. In other words, from Chokhmah's perspective, the basis of everything is that there's a first being.
Right.
Not that there's me. In other words, the
Yeah.
worldly perspective is that I'm the fact that I exist. That's the basis.
Yeah.
Chokhmah comes and says, "What kind of? That's not totally does not relate to that approach at all."
Yeah.
And the perspective from Chokhmah is that there is a first being, from which everything comes forth.
Right. Now this perspective of Chokhmah that we're talking about, and we're referring to what happened last night's class, I don't know if that's different or follows on Bittul, or Bittul is the result of that Chokhmah. I don't know. Here it's talking about Bittul per se. Bittul, it's more so he puts himself aside, doesn't talk about Chokhmah right here. I don't know if that's...
No, I'm saying, but I think what the idea is that the only way a person can put himself completely aside
It's through that
is from the approach
by means of
that the reality is the first being.
yes.
Otherwise, if the basis of reality is me, there's no way you can put yourself
Because
aside.
then you're going into nowhere. You're going into
Right, but here he wants the real reality. He wants
Okay, and I think it was around this time when it first came up, either the Kiv or perhaps herself was asking, and is this only at a time of serious nefesh, that there'll be this kind of orientation? For example, here we're dealing with the case where they're at the water's edge and they're being chased down. And I don't recall exactly the answer there, but it seems like we're developing it that it's a method of avoida, basically. Shlemus avoida, the union of listening is silence, as if to say it's not just at a time of great. It doesn't have to be it's not just at a time of great
right.
Crisis, great drama as here.
And the point that I got also from that interchange was that, in other words, the mimer is not telling us about the focus here is not necessarily on, the level of the shleimus avoda, but the focus is on this is the reality. In other words, not necessarily that. To know, what this highest level of avoda entails, but that this is what happened to the entire nation before Matan Torah, and this is our reality. In other words, there is this just to know that there is this level.
Okay.
This is the basis of everything. That there is a Sarusa de Li'ela that comes mitzad atzmai.
Right.
Whether or not you're standing in this Atem Tacharishon or not,
Okay.
this is the reality. This is what's
Right.
going on. This is the basis of everything, is this arousal from above. And just to know that truth is very significant. To know about this. Whether we're standing at the edge of Kriyas Yamsuf and holding there, that's a whole other level. But the fact to know it, this is Rabbi brings this up all the time. To know that there's a truth, this in itself is extremely significant.
Right.
To live up to it already is a whole process.
Yeah, and I think this point came up last night, where you were asking about Makam Rui. That is it a fitting receptacle, and the Rabbi kind of brought out this point that it's always kind of available if were that the receptacle, if the keli was there, something like this.
Okay, should we stop?
It's that
Rosh
time.
Chodesh.
Big davening.
Shkodakas.
Have a good day.
Good. Have a good day, everybody.
Good day on the
Chodesh.
conference.
Good day.